How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTCReaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. So over on Dixie for the daily, we do have a long upper shadow candle. Remember, a long upper shadow candle shows that bulls tried to push us up and bears did step in. If this is followed by a red candle, we could see a further push down, and there's a 54% probability that we could pull back to this 105 area. I would warn against pulling against this neckline, pushing up, and then pulling back down again. If we saw that, we could make a head and shoulders here, and that head and shoulders would give us a pretty strong breakdown, possibly retesting these lows right around that 100 area. RSI is starting to pull back as stochastic is falling, momentum is rounding, VWAP is bearish and money flows in the green, but going flat as momentum and VWAP are starting to weaken, so watch for that to continue. Over on Bitcoin dominance for the daily, we do have a little bit of a push up. So Bitcoin did do better than our total. That our altcoins did lose, at least most of them, and Bitcoin did increase. So that gave us that little bit of a push forward. There was a probability we could push to around the 60% zone. So I would watch if we end up pulling back from here. If we end up pulling back from here, then there is a higher chance of hitting that 55. There's a very high chance of hitting that. So I would watch if we do make that rejection, as this is a consolidation range from back here. VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is dropping, money flow is trying to push up, so we do look decent for this to continue if that VWAP can continue forward. Over on total for the daily, we are seeing a bit of a push forward. We did get indecision candle, so we did try to push around that 860. So we did try to push forward 860, tried to make a higher high, and we did reject that higher high. So I would watch for a red candle. If we get a red candle here and we break that 801 area, then we could end up breaking down. There's a high chance of pushing down to that 744, but that could be a higher low, it does say, so that would be positive if we can make a bounce and then continue back up toward that 936. Stochastic does want to round, RSI is pulling back, momentum is rounding, VWAP is pushing down, and money flow is in the green, but with VWAP starting to look a little weak, I would watch that momentum and money flow closely. Over on the 1 hour here, we do have consolidation after a push up. Again, this could be a bull flag, but it does look a little sketchy as we are losing some momentum here with that VWAP. So if we look at that VWAP, we do have consistent lows. Watch for a rejection of neutral. If we get a rejection of neutral, then it would be likely we could continue lower. If we see that VWAP favor bearish, momentum would continue down, money flow would pull back, and price action could get lower highs with lower lows. Right now, we may have a lower high right here with a lower low right here. So I would watch. There was a high chance of seeing a pull back. So we did get that pull back, and then we did continue beyond the measured move. There is a projection that we could end up retesting that 804 area. So that is positive. Watch for that VWAP to break bullish and hold in that range in order for us to get that push up to like that 90 area, like 936 area toward there. If we do not see that VWAP stay bullish and we get a rejection there, then we could end up seeing bearish momentum, as we technically would have 4 touches to the top of where our bull flag would be and 3 touches to the bottom here. So we did technically invalidate the break up. I would watch for a break to the downside. Right now, we would be bouncing and trying to confirm bullish momentum, but if that VWAP does make a rejection, then we will continue bearishly. Over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, we did get a little bit of a break forward. We did make this move where we could move to about 108K. There's no set time frame on that, but we are kind of struggling on lower time frames. So watch, we did hit that 94, 95K range here. So that is positive. Momentum is overall tapering away, though, with the red dot as VWAP is holding bearish. If that VWAP continues to weaken here, momentum will bring money flow lower and we will round away, making this a freak breakout, and then we could pull back in, invalidate that flag, and push down to that gapped area. So over on the 1 hour, there was about a decent chance, mid-range chance of pushing to about that 95K. We did stop just shy of it. We did continue above that 92K projection though. So we did see a pretty decent move forward. We did say 94K was about the move yesterday, and we did see about that move and then a rejection from it. So again, pigs get slaughtered. Don't try to get more than the move or the max move. It's better to get out a little earlier like we did with our positions yesterday. Momentum is starting to pull back, stochastic is dropping, RSI is starting to drop, and VWAP does have lower lows, so I would watch that VWAP is favoring bearish. If it continues to favor bearish here, momentum will continue to round away, and money flow will continue to weaken. That in turn would weaken those higher time frames if that money flow breaks into the red from the green and holds. Remember, once it holds for several hours, we do see those higher time frames start to move away, and once those higher time frames start to move away, we see bigger moves to the downside or upside depending on which trend you're flipping. So over on Bitcoin for the daily, momentum is starting to pull back as that VWAP favors bearish, much like futures. Money flow is overall pulling back, so again, watch lower time frames. Stochastic is starting to drop, RSI wants to push up, but if that VWAP holds bearish here, we do have lower lows on that 1 hour. If we continue to hold bearish, we could end up making a rejection, but according to our NPP, there is about 33% chance we would hit that 86, so that is a little bit better than the previous day. That does mean we may focus more on the current NPP move, which puts us about 66% chance to hit 92K, and then there would be a better chance, or 60% chance, and then there would be about a 40% chance to continue toward 98K. So obviously that can increase or decrease depending on how we look as we move. Watch that VWAP. That VWAP needs to hold bullish. It needs to push up, gain strength, and break through that neutral if we're going to sustain a strong run forward. Right now, with the VWAP getting lower lows, if we get lower highs, momentum will break away, money flow will fall, higher time frames would weaken, and then we would see that bearish probability, even though it's a lower chance right now. So over on graph for the daily, we did see a decent push forward. We made a higher high. There was about 44% chance of hitting this 26.24 according to this. So we did stop just short of that move. Again, highlighting why you don't go for the max move. Stochastic does want to round. Momentum is trying to push up. VWAP is bullish and money flow is in the green. But if that VWAP does break away on lower time frames, we could start to pull away. There's about 50% chance we could hit 1772, making a higher low, and a 50% chance of hitting that value area low, right around that 8-cent area. So I would watch both those areas very close. We'll make this line white as it's black from when we had our lines different. So watch that VWAP on lower time frames. If that VWAP holds bearish like it is right now, and we see lower highs with lower lows, momentum will drop, money flow will weaken, and price action would continue lower. There is a chance that we could push up, 72% chance that we could push up, retest at 26,424, and then I would watch for that VWAP. If that VWAP isn't very bullish at that point, we could see a rejection and then continue lower. There is also a chance we could push beyond where we are right now, but with the current curve, there does give us a little more bullish chance, providing that curve can continue. So over on Anchor for the daily, we do have a high chance on the daily to end up breaking away, pulling back toward that 2673 range. Momentum is pushing up with the red dot. Stochastic is dropping with the bearish cross as orange is above blue, and RSI is starting to pull back. That VWAP is bullish, but if that VWAP continues to go sideways, momentum and money flow could continue to weaken, and we could end up breaking down. So watch those lower time frames. Over on the 1 hour here, there is about 56% chance we could hit 34.85. I would watch if we end up pushing up and see if we can hold. Previously, we have seen several rejections in that range, so I would exercise caution as we are struggling to break and hold. That could show that bears may gain control. If we get lower highs and lower lows, we may have lower highs here and potential slightly lower lows here. So just watch for that to continue as we could end up breaking away. Our stochastic is starting to fall. VWAP does have higher highs, so watch if we can break neutral and get higher lows. So watch if we can break neutral and get higher highs. If we can't, then momentum will remain bearish. Money flow would end up pulling back as that VWAP would likely reject. We need those higher highs with these higher lows to give us a bullish trend in this area to break us away from this consolidation and fill these higher chances of that break forward. So over on XRP for the daily, we have some indecision, so this was a bull pendant. It's also a bear flag, so we covered that yesterday, and it does show why confirmation is important today. Momentum is starting to round away. We have a double red dot. Stochastic is pulling back. RSI is starting to fall. VWAP is breaking down, and money flows in the green, but if that VWAP continues lower, that money flow could start to lose steam. So if we look over to the 1 hour, you would have seen this rejection candle here. You would have seen this inverted hammer candle here where we tried to break up and we got rejected. Right there could have been your cue that we were not going to get a break forward and we may see some downside action. Now, our probabilities from this point do say there was a 53% chance of pulling back and hitting a higher low. We did continue beyond. We made a pretty consistent low. If you don't count the wicks, we did make a higher low according to our indicator. But if you count the wicks, then it's a pretty consistent low. So I would exercise caution in this range as we do have a lower high. So if we see another lower high and then we reject that Fibonacci level right here, let's say around that 110, then we could see that probability of filling around that $99 that we've kind of been visiting for the last few days. I believe it was a bit lower, so we are a little softer on that crash. But that being said, if we do push forward and get higher highs with higher lows from here, there is still a probability of pushing to $1.21. But again, don't go for the max move because we may not get there. We could stop short of the top of this triangle and then reject there or reject anywhere along the line. So that's why it's important to watch your indicators and watch them close, especially if you're in like a swing trade and you're not doing long-term investments. So over on algo for the daily, we are trying to push up. We did see indecision here as well as we made a new high. We tried to hit that 25 like we mentioned, but we couldn't quite get there. Stochastic is flat, RSI is flat, momentum does want to round, and that VWAP is starting to pull back. That VWAP does have lower highs. Watch if it breaks neutral. If it breaks neutral and gets lower lows, we could end up retracing here. There's a high probability of pushing around that 1618. So over on the 1 hour here, we do have higher highs with higher lows, so we do have a bullish continuation going on right now that is positive, that can help push us toward that 25. But there is a possibility we push down toward that 1888 where our value area high is, and if we do see that probability come to fruition and we don't make a bounce off that area, then bears could gain control, push us lower, and then we could start revisiting lower supports. But right now, the probability does say we could push toward that 2637, but we did stop about halfway there and pulled back. Again, that's why you don't want to go for the max move. Kind of take somewhere in between these. Stochastic is starting to pull back, RSI is starting to fall, momentum is rounding away as that VWAP breaks down. So as that VWAP breaks down, momentum will continue to fall, money flow will remain red, and as that money flow remains in the red, higher timeframes will start to weaken and we will continue to drop away. So I would exercise caution. If we don't see higher highs with higher lows soon, then we could end up breaking down. Again, watch that 1906, that value area high range. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I appreciate all you watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe,